All right, so let's go ahead and get this first game started here on 2000 atmospheres. Here, spawning at the top right, we have our blue Protoss representing the team of Alpha X. Yours truly, it is Classic.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom left corner of the map, playing for Kaizi Gaming. It is our Red Zerg player, Solar. I don't think we're going to expect anything too out of the ordinary for Classic, right? We're probably going to see a lot of Stargate play, and then from Solar, probably a lot of Queen play.
yeah. I mean, well, I guess this map is a little bit more difficult because there are those destructible rocks that kind of gets in the way of the Queen walks. So I think Classic, I think Stargate is probably his best bet right now on this specific map. And then for Solar, I think maybe he just play like kind of a more standard game, going to the late game actually and try to win it that way. But I don't know. We shall see, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Classic is just going to open up with a very standard Nexus before Cyber. His opponent, of course, going for that very standard hatch first. So nothing too out of the ordinary just yet.
Yeah, this is a map though. Let's take a look at it. It's a map where it kind of tends to go into the latter stages of the game. There's multiple bases, a lot of bases to mine off. Relatively easy to get the initial 3 to 4 bases, I would say. Maybe even 5. But yeah, it's a map that really tends to favor the long macro game. And as we predicted, it looks like the Stargate is the tech of choice here coming out of Classic.
Yeah, I really like Solar's Ling play, taking the watchtowers wherever he can, making sure to scout around, making sure that there are no proxies.
Yeah, getting that map vision is pretty key. Now, of course, this is early stages of the game, so really not a lot of I guess shenanigans that can happen out in the middle of the map. But you can sometimes maybe catch a sneaky probe trying to go for like a proxy pawn, or maybe an adept traveling across the map or something. And so it doesn't hurt to get those watchtowers. But I would say that it's still okay if you ignore the watchtower at this early stage. It's really when it comes down to, like, I say the 4-minute mark or so, the 3 to 4 minute mark, where you can maybe see a Oracle fly by. That's when I think you can want to get the watchtower at the very least.
Yeah, definitely. I think you called it, right? The Oracle is just about to finish, and Solar, he has Queens in reserve. He also has started his Spore Crawlers, so he definitely knows what's up. He's expecting this Oracle to be across on his side of the map pretty soon, and it is going to cost him. It always bothers me how it costs, a drone to produce a Spore Crawler, but, at the same time, he produced 8 drones at once, so I guess I can't complain too much. That Oracle is going to come into the third base. It is going to pick off 3 drones for free. Oh, I'm sorry. The third drone was from a Void Ray, I believe.
Well, it has 2 kills, so must be.
Yeah. Ooh, I like this a lot, though. Classic really diving deep into the Stargate tech, going for a second Stargate as well as a fleet beacon. So I'm kind of feeling some speedy Void Rays. That's what my prediction is.
You know what? That might not be a bad bet. I mean, again, this map is pretty good for airplay coming out of the Protoss, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did go for Void Ray speed. Also, we have seen some Protosses actually go for a kind of like a 2 or 4 Tempest opening of some sort. So,
right. I remember those. Yeah, very nice stasis ward on the stasis trap on the main base drones, which are having trouble finding their way to mining. Okay, there they go. But yeah, it looks like a lot of Lings are going to be out on the field, scouting out the Adepts and making sure that they're not up to anything too nefarious. But yeah, it looks like 2 Tempests are coming up at a time. Solar does read this and puts down a Spire, so I think you called it, Snoopy. It's going to be that Tempest sort of opener, I believe.
Yeah, and actually, did he scout? He did scout one Stargate, but he didn't scout the fleet begin in the second Stargate. But he will have, he will have vision as this Overlord, or sorry, not Overlord, Overseer is gonna get vision of this.
All right, here we go. The first 2 Tempests are across on this side of the map. They are going to start shelling away at those Queens, which do have to back up. Spire is not really that close to finishing, so these Tempests are going to be a little bit of a nuisance for the time being. Of course, they do behave kind of like... well, I can't really find a good analogy for them. I was about to call them the Protoss Air siege tanks, but they can still move, you know?
Yeah, they're pretty unique, so kind of hard to compare them.
Right, right. Looks like they are just going to barely sneak past the Queens, heading into the main. I like this move a lot, right? You can pick off some Overlords, you can try to pick off some Queens. Although Solar is doing an excellent job of zoning them out for now. Of course, once you get the Tempest far back enough, the Queens actually can't hit them, and you have to wait for the Corruptors. Speaking of which, there are 9 on the way. So I think that these Tempests are going to have to get recalled pretty soon.
Yeah. Now, of course, Classic did not commit to these Tempests. He actually went for the Void Rays. And so, yeah, he also got speed, I believe, right? Yeah, he got the Void Ray speed. So these Void Rays can get on top of these Corruptors if they wanted to, but they also got to be careful about these Queens that will be attacking them from underneath. We currently have 7 Queens and 9 Corruptors. Make that 10 Corruptors out on the field.
Interesting. Classic is going back into Tempests. So, what do you think, Snoopy? I think we're watching some sort of mind game play out right now.
Yeah, I think he's banking on the fact that Solar will stop creating Corruptors after seeing all those Void Rays, and then maybe he can kind of get away with these Tempests, but I think it might actually backfire on him, because Solar is actually making more and more Corruptors, actually.
Right, right. I was just about to say, right, because the Zerg, if I'm the Zerg player and I figure, hey, my opponent is committed to air, the first thought in my mind is, as long as I have enough Corruptors, I should be able to handle anything. Right? Not everything, but definitely most things up in the air. But look at that. We do see the Gateway Explosion allowing the proliferation of Zealots as well as Archons. So the Corruptors are not going to be able to get too much done for much longer. Although, wow, Solar going in deep, able to pick off more air units as the Roach Ravager Lings are able to engage the rest of the ground army. So this is already not looking too good for our Protoss player.
Yeah, there's just no answer here for these Corruptors, and these Corruptors just getting top of these Tempests and Void Rays at will and at ease. And now he's just gonna go ahead and just park outside this Natural. We'll take it out, start vomiting it to death.
I think it's like you said, Snoopy. I think that Classic took a bit of a gamble, thinking that, hey, my opponent is probably going to move back into Queens or rely back on the Queens and, you know, forego some of that Corruptor production. But of course, that was not the case. And what ended up happening was a lot of his Sky Army was decimated. Now, granted, he did have shield battery overcharge, or he had shield batteries and he had photon cannons, which, you know, did do good work in keeping some of the Sky Toss alive. But look at that. How many Corruptors is that? We have 11 Corruptors against 2 Void Rays, and the rest of the Zerg supplies and Roach Ravagers. So this is definitely not going to be easy, if even possible, for Classic to hold.
Yeah, he is going to have to... Actually, scratch that. He's just going to have to GG, because there's just absolutely no way. He's ahead by almost a 90 supply. So, yeah, that is GG. Solar will take first blood.
A bit of an interesting move by Classic. I don't recall if he did probe scout last game, but it looks like he's not going to be probe scouting this game.
Yeah, actually, he's one of the few Protosses that actually does not go for the typical early probe send out to block that second hatchery at the natural. I guess he just prefers not to go for that and just go for the extra economy. But we do see, of course, like players like Trap and Zest and Zoun do that in terms of sending out the probe to make sure that second hatchery is actually placed at the third base of the Zerg. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting that Classic is one of the Protosses out there that doesn't actually quite like to do that.
Yeah, definitely. At the same time, the probe that he does send scouting, is he looking for a proxy hatch? Is that what he's looking for?
I think he's just
no, he's actually going to proxy. I like it.
Yeah, what do you think this proxy is going to be for?
It has to be a Stargate, right? Given the distance and the positioning. Also, I don't... correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think proxy robos are a thing against Zergs, right?
Yeah, they're not quite a thing. Now, yeah, it could be... Yeah, it's probably Stargate. It could be Templar Archive into... Twilight Council into Dark Shrine, but yeah, it looks like Stargate is going to be the more reasonable choice here.
Right. I actually like this positioning a lot because it takes into account the third base of Solar. Now, of course, Classic doesn't know where the third base is just yet. He hasn't scouted that Solar took the bottom triangle base, but it does work in his favor, of course, because given that he's going to be playing with air units to harass, they can easily go back and forth between the high ground and the low ground.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's one of the things that Protosses can abuse when Zergs do go for that triangular base on a map like Curious Minds. Can kind of go fly back and forth. There's a huge dead airspace behind it, so I'm sure Classic is gonna look forward to abusing that.
In the meantime, we're going to have these two adepts shade up onto the high ground, seeing what kind of scouting they can get, checking on the number of drones possibly, but at the same time we do have the Oracle already out on the field. And look at that, immediately the follow-up from Classic will be a proxy fleet beacon as well.
Oh man, Classic really loves this fleet beacon.
Yeah, well, what do you think? It could be Proxy Tempest, right?
It could be, but I secretly wish that it's going to be a mothership.
Oh, right.
I know it's probably not likely, but I don't know. I would love to see it. It would be like one of those White Raw special tactics.
Well, see, here's the thing. You might be right because he's banking up 300 gas right now. Oh, never mind. Okay. He just spent it. Oh, so it is going to be Proxy Tempest. Yeah. But yeah, I was just about to say he was almost hitting that 400 gas mark, and I got so excited.
You got me excited.
But yeah, it looks like that's not going to be the case for now. We're just going to see an Oracle and only a Proxy Tempest, as though that's not crazy enough.
Yeah, I'm not quite a fan of this play. There's only one Stargate, one Tempest. It's not really scary. Tempest is not innately really like damage dealing units.
Right, right. You need to have several of them.
Yeah. They're not like a Mortal where they pack a punch or anything. They pack a decent punch, but not like a strong punch. So when you're making just one Tempest at a time, it just really doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't really add up too much. It doesn't really do too much, I don't think. But who knows? He can catch Solar off guard because currently he has yet to scout that proxy, the proxy Stargate as well as the proxy fleet beacon.
Yeah. Oh, but look at that. This Ling isn't actually going to be able to see that there's an adept there. Let me check his vid. Oh, and he scouts it. Solar with the Spidey senses. Okay, Oracle is going to get a stasis trap on the Queen. And here come the Tempests. They're gonna walk up onto the main, which is gonna get tagged by the Oracle, and they're gonna start sniping some of the drones, which is a pretty nice move. Now, like you said, they don't pack that much of a punch, right? But when you have multiple Tempests and they start one-shotting enemy units, that's the point where you wanna get to. Otherwise, before that, you know, they don't have the staying power that Immortals do, as you mentioned earlier. But yeah, so far the Lings have already taken care of the Fleet Beacon and the Stargate. Looks like it's going to be a gateway explosion back at home for Classic. But yeah, these Tempests are going to need to get a little bit more damage done for this proxy to be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Solar, all you need to do is just like buy time with these queens, right? And once the Spire is done, you can make those Corruptors. And we did see how that went last game, where the Corruptors just absolutely annihilated the Tempests.
Yeah, plus this high number of queens, I don't think these Tempests are gonna, you know, do much good for Classic. Although, there was the possibility that if the Spire was placed in a bad position, then maybe Classic could snipe the Spire. Then he would be in a much better spot. But I don't think that's the case here. He has taken care of quite a good number of drones, but his opponent, Solar, is still pretty far ahead in drones. So it's not like that is too much of a win.
Yeah, I think maybe Classic can kind of utilize these Tempests as a distraction to force all these air units from Solar, and then just like go make the switch to like a mass gateway blink timing with a bunch of gateways. He's got the +1 just finished as well. Yeah, I think this is actually a really great timing attack. I'm actually liking. Oh, what is he doing? He's retreating. Oh no.
This is not what Classic needs to be doing. Classic needs to be pushing, you know, stepping on the gas pedal all the way, because he is giving his opponent time with the Roach Ravager count to keep on going up. So now it becomes a lot dicier whether or not this Blink Stalker army can actually do anything. Good set of force fields are going to force back the Ravagers for now. Good set of Vials, though, are going to counter that. Tempests are going to join in the fight. Another good set of force fields, but is it going to be enough? Roaches have started to collapse on the south side. Now, these force fields are pretty decent, right? We see that the Lings are getting caught behind them. But is it going to be enough? It looks like the Roach Ravagers are just going to shove on forward. Corruptors are doing their best against the Tempest, but they are starting to fall. I think Classic might have just done it. Yeah, GG. Classic is going to tie up the series 1-1.
Alright, guess if there was any map to end this series on, to end tonight's Group B, it would be on Blackburn. Cause I don't know why. It's just
it's just a fitting map, you know, very unique.
yeah.
So we do see Classic actually going out for a probe scout. Not early enough to block the first hatch, but that is obviously not his intention.
Yeah, he's just using it to kind of mess up the drone mining there on the mineral line, so just being a little bit of a pest. So
you know, I wonder if any probe scouts are actually early enough to deny the gas mining from a Zerg player. I don't think that's possible. And even if it were, it's definitely not worth it.
Yeah, I don't think so as well. Well, first of all, the max amount is that you can only deny is only one gas, because unless you send out 2 probes, but no Protoss actually ever sends out 2 probes to block 2 gases. And on top of that, Zergs don't really need a lot of gas in the early game. They're perfectly fine taking just 1 gas. Sometimes even perfectly fine taking 0 gases, just going for a third base. But yeah, there's really no reason to go ahead and try to block both gases.
Yeah, it looks like that probe is going to be able to return home with its live report on what it saw. In the meantime, that Adept is going to take over for scouting for the time being.
Yeah, we do see another Stargate play coming out of Classic, so Classic really sticking to that Stargate air play that he is pretty strong at. However, I do not expect him to go for Tempest once again.
Yeah, I think that last game, it wasn't a win just because of the Tempest, right? Whereas the first game was probably, you could attribute that loss to the Tempest directly. So I agree. I don't think Classic is going to be going for Tempests, but who knows? Maybe he'll, decide to do that along with the Mothership. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe later in the later stages of the game, but at the early stages, I don't see him. I think he's just gonna go ahead and just stick with Void Ray and Oracles for the time being.
Yeah. Yep, first Void Ray is almost completely across the map. Queens are in place to shoo it away. Spore Crawlers are being built as well, so that Oracle, if it gets 3 kills, I'll be very surprised, but usually it gets 2.
Yeah, with 2 Queens and a Spore, he's gonna have to back out here.
Yeah. Oh, I like it though. It's gonna be a Twilight Robo follow-up. And then of course we do see Solar responding with the safety Rush Warren. It's a little bit late, but he knows that his opponent opened Stargate, so there's no need to get it as early as possible. Now it is going to be Charge coming out for Classic.
Yeah, and there is actually a gateway explosion here coming out of Classic pretty early, so I think this is actually a fake third. He is gonna use it just to let Solar know that, or kind of trick Solar into thinking that he is going for a normal 3 base, but oh man, he actually let some Lings in, and Solar is. This is a
out because I think the Lings might have been able to see that at the natural, no gases were taken, and that is probably the biggest tell that you can see.
Yeah, that might actually be the winning move there by Solar, as he knows this attack is coming. Gonna go ahead and start making a bunch of roaches. These Lings getting more damage here at the natural. Oh man, this is looking quite dire for Classic.
Yeah, we do see the War Prism going across the map, already loaded up with 4 charge loss, and I like this move a lot, right? When you're kind of uncertain about how much damage you can do, always try to give yourself the best advantage possible, and for Classic, it looks like right now, his best possible bet is to warp in at the front. Although this is a little bit early, right? I do like it because he doesn't really care that he shows his hand, since he knows that Solar already knows that he's going Charge, but it didn't really get too much done because the roaches were already in place. Now, I do like the Immortal follow-up, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, the Charge Lot all-in has already failed because, I mean, it was scouted and, Classic knows it. That's why he's not warping in any more charge lots.
Yeah, he recognizes that the timing window, the surprise element, has kind of gone by, and so he does his next best move is to just transition. He knows that he can't really do too much damage with this this charge lot push. Gonna go ahead and start saturating that dirt base, but unbeknownst to him, on the other side, there are swarm hosts being made.
I really like this move, actually. We see 8 swarm hosts at a time, and they are pretty much perfect for dealing with a ground Protoss army, because obviously if you manage the swarm hosts correctly, they will get infinite value, right? And that is simply not the case for the Protoss.
Alright,
more and more swarm hosts being made. What do you think, Snoopy? Are they just going to walk across the map and start doing damage? I think that's the only way, right? Because there's no Nidus for them to enter.
Yeah, no Nidus in sight, so they're just gonna go ahead and walk across the map. And will he go on? Will he shoot the locusts on top of the production building now? If he does, there is a juicy Testosis pylon.
Oh, speaking of juicy, that War Prism just barely not going down. Those 3 queens were right smack dab in position to take care of it. Not quite able to find all the damage, but yeah, here we go. Swarm hosts are going to take down the first Immortal like it's nothing. The rest of them are going to get cleaned up pretty quickly, though, and that Roach Ling army is not going to be able to find too much damage. Queens have joined the fight, so they are a nice deterrent against that single Void Ray, but look at that. I think Storm is finished. This is going to be a very interesting fight to watch. A good Storm goes down on the majority of the army. Obviously, since it is primarily Roach Ravager Queen, it's not going to go down immediately, but those Immortals are there to back them up. Oh wow.
Man, yeah, these Immortals doing so much damages to these Roach and Ravagers. But these Locusts are going to come through, and Immortals not quite the best against these Locusts.
Yeah, those Locusts are going to land. 2 of them already immediately going down. It's like Shield Battery Overcharge doesn't even matter to them, right? The Archons are popping. Pretty soon the Roaches are going to have to back off, I assume, because that Shield Battery Overcharge is still going. Locusts are nowhere to be found. Good Biles going down as well. A Feedback even going down on the Overseer, not on the Queens, which I would have liked to see preferably. But yeah, I think that if Classic is able to hold on and keep building really good units like Immortals and Archons, he should be okay. But this is still really scary. I mean, look at that. Solar is not stopping with the Ling, Roach, and Ravager production. He's getting +2 attack. He's already got +1. And look at that. The Locusts are coming back in for round 2.
Yep, I think this might be it. Classic might have to GG soon, as all these Roaches and Ravagers are just streaming across the map. Locust is on top of the dirt base. All shield batteries are down and offline. And unfortunately for Classic, his tournament hopes will end here, as Solar will take the series 2-1.